Hi there, welcome to the Heart's Frontier. I'm Kate Graham, and if this is your first time joining us, then welcome. This is a business intuitive collective energy reading. And if you're interested in that sort of thing, or you're not sure, you can keep watching the video. But if you do like it, please make sure you like and subscribe so we can stay tuned and follow along with each other's journey. I'd love to see you comment or like the video if you do like it, so more people can see it and we can get a conversation going. It's always nice to know, especially with these business intuitive readings, whether other people are receiving the same sort of wisdom or message or warning, and understanding that we're all kind of going through these waves together might help you find more answers or more clarity a little bit sooner. So, that is the intention there. If you'd like to book any service with me, you can book down below, and I will have a business intuitive strategy session available soon on my website. But until then, you can just book intuitive healing guidance, and that will work. We could focus on your business in that time. So, let's see what's going on here this week or just right now in the business collective energy. So, this is if you're, involved heavily in business, if you're, in more of a leadership or management position, or if you own your own business. I definitely work with a lot of people who work for themselves, and I love that. So hopefully this helps you out. And it helps me out. I do business readings sometimes more often than I would do personal readings for myself. So this week we have sacrifice. This card is really interesting. I'm already feeling like the elephants are a really big significance. So I am feeling as though you might have had a hard time remembering things with your business or with your work, or it might be that things are falling out of your memory or out of your mind, your short term mind. And I believe this is because and so I'll talk about the sacrifice piece of that, but this is just elephants and forgetting. It came in as a very clear message. I believe this is because we were doing shifting to really get into the big picture perspective of things. And so, in order to get back to this timeline being effective, there's sort of a disconnect of timing and reality there. And so, it can be hard to grab everything. So, just this is a time where I would suggest that you rely more on lists and on systems and functions to keep things in order. And as well, I would also say if there's certain things that you're forgetting, sometimes that's actually an indicator that A, you're feeling stressed by it, so it's getting pushed out of your mind, or B, it's actually not necessary. So sometimes I've done this where I've set up a task in my mind, and weeks later I go, oh my gosh, I never did this task. And it turns out at that point, it really didn't matter whether I had done it or not. It wasn't something that was actually crucial, even though at some point I'd considered it crucial. So it's fascinating how the mind can sort of make these lines and due dates and make them very certain, but because time fluctuates and things always change, they're constantly changing, we need to be adaptable to if that is no longer a task later on. This might have happened to you recently. So that was just a specific thing that I heard. Okay. It says sometimes surrender is painful. God's cutting away all that needs to go: illusions, obsessions, and addictions. It's a sacrifice to love. So these are the divine abundance cards, by the way, these ones. And the feeling that I get is that there's a bit of self sacrifice needed here. And we want to be careful that when we're self sacrificing, we're not really doing a victim thing. We're not saying, oh, I just have to sacrifice myself for now. Woe is me. But it's more like I'm choosing to compromise on one of my needs to serve a higher need. There's a sacrifice in service to others potentially, or a sacrifice in terms of your preference for things because you feel guided to do it another way. So an example of this could be you could have a situation come up that um I'm getting a second thing in here. So you could have a situation come up also that is about these obsessions and sort of addictions. And what I would say is actually more obsessive thought. So any obsessive thought that you find ineffective for your work, I believe that is something that this, current time in business, a lot of people are chopping away what feels like it's extra and what feels like it's not necessary. So it's a good thing. It's almost like sacrificing pieces of something that were harmed, or like it's maybe there's like a tree and it has like a disease, so you might actually have to remove part of the tree so as to separate and keep it healthy. um, Hopefully that makes sense. We then have intuition. So intuition right here. And I'm really, really drawn to these images. So the elephant was very, very clear to me as to what it meant. And this one, it's like seeing with the heart. So it feels as though also, and I've been hearing from a lot of different clients and also friends that the way that they're feeling about their business is like it just has to be the way that they feel it needs to be. So we're really relying a lot less actually on the I guess the mind, but I don't even want to say that. We're using the mind. It's more like the rationalizing or analytical mind, the mind that needs things to be entirely linear. I think we're understanding collectively that intuition is just as linear, if you choose to see it that way, or just as effective as a linear path. And what I mean by that could be like, you have one way to solve your problem, like you need to advertise for your business, so you could pay for ads, or you could, you know, do so you could do an ad a certain way that you always see done online, and that's the way, your clothing item is sold. You see these, photos like this or videos like that, and that's how your clothing item is sold. But maybe you have like a bizarre idea on how to advertise your clothing item, and so it's really different, but in your mind it's something that you just feel needs to be seen, right? So because you're looking at it from this view, um, if you were to listen to your mind, you might actually limit yourself from the potential of really standing out against the crowd here by not listening to yourself. You're really doing yourself and also your business a disservice. Um, and so the smartest way is to follow your intuition here. A linear path might be what is expected of you, and a non-linear might be something that's more guided by the heart, or something that's more creative or unique. I'm also getting the feeling, so it says each person's road to the inner Lord is extraordinary and personal. And so I'm really getting the feeling like you've got to keep your desires not hidden, but close to your heart. And so what I mean is hold them close to you, because you're the one who's going to see them through in the end. So these desires that you have, or goals that you have with your business, instead of uh, sharing them a bunch, actually hold them within your heart for a while and just begin to say, what is needed here? What is needed? And then you can start asking for those things that are needed, rather than the thing which is just agree with me. Um, yeah, and it's really about going moment to moment. And so that's another thing that's coming up for, I think, a lot of people is, it has been very challenging to see extremely far ahead into the future. And in certain ways, I think we really just need to be accepting of that, and maybe, yeah, maybe open or excited by the idea that we can we can be adaptable, and that we can learn how to shift and adapt as things come out, or as different restrictions and rules change with different businesses being allowed to operate or not in certain ways, or potentially just changing the way that your business works, since culture and society has been shifting a little bit, obviously, in this recent time. It's feeling like stepping out of that by listening to your heart, and not being too much a part of the norm or the outer voices, I think will be really helpful to you, whoever's resonating with this reading. And our last one here is extraordinary. So I'm, again, really just drawn to the images here. And so this, if you're going to take the peacock symbolism, it's really about showing your unique colors and your unique feathers. I'm just hearing in my head a lot, you're not going to do it like anybody else. And that's what I'm hearing a lot for this reading. So if this is resonating with you, you are not going to do it like anybody else. You are here to do things just exactly how you are here to do things. And like nobody ever before or ever will come to be. And so I just pulled a couple other cards here. We have unknown territory. So yes, you are walking into sort of what looks to be unknown, but honestly, you are exactly where you have to be right now. Right now, you're in this place where you're seeing lots of opportunities and options, and maybe questioning whether or not you're actually thinking this through. But at this moment, I'm being told you don't have to worry so much about the thinking. The thinking is already being done and you're doing it well. So maybe it's also stepping back from overthinking or second guessing whether you are in the right spot or not. Maybe it's a time simply to accept, sure, I'm in the right spot. Now what's next? Right? What's next is one of my favorite questions to ask my spirit guides, also, by the way. I thought I would share that. Is usually if I'm doing some sort of spiritual searching and it's coming for trying to get some clarity about the future, I say, okay, what's next? And usually I'm given some sort of glimpse. And that glimpse is enough for me to say, all right, I'll just log that and hope and work towards these different images that come up that I like, you know? All right. We also have Wandering Path, and it says enjoy the journey. So I don't really need to say too much on that one. And Traveling Lightly, simplify your life. So if you are doing this overcomplicating thing, maybe just take a moment, take a few moments and write down what's actually important to me. And really just step back and get some perspective because our businesses also can feel like they're very, very big, but they really serve one purpose within the whole dynamic of our life. So if you can simplify your life by saying, this is exactly what I actually need for the business to work, then you can start seeing, okay, then what is added rather than, taking the massive business and trying to figure out what's today. So hopefully that makes sense to you. It's a message about starting each day with an intention of what is actually most valuable to me in life so that you can hone in on keeping that energy throughout all of your other potentially menial tasks that need to happen to support that goal. So, thanks so much for listening to this business intuitive reading. I'm excited to do more business intuitive work. I just love talking about businesses and supporting people in, becoming self sufficient. I'm a big fan of that. So, enjoy the rest of your day or evening wherever you are and take care.